See, fear loses power, not only when it's exposed. Darkness fades when there's light. But when you invite the Spirit of Jesus into all of these things, you see them for what they truly are, and you know what God thinks and says. It is amazing how much fear sits in our minds and in our thoughts, and at 3 a.m. and when we're in the car, and it's just sometimes overwhelming, but much of the time it's quiet but consistent. The only way fear gets rooted out is that we actually stop and we list it and we look at it. Whether it's invented or fantasy or very real, we look at it. And then once the grand list, your list is in front of you, if you have the courage to do this, then you invite Jesus, the Prince of Peace, into every single one of those events and say to him, what do you say about this? 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 See, fear loses power, not only when it's exposed. Darkness fades when there's light. But when you invite the Spirit of Jesus into all of these things, you see them for what they truly are, and you know what God thinks and says. And why does this matter for us? Well, number one, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom, and there needs to be way more freedom in this church. At 3 a.m., in the car, in my family, everywhere. And if we would just invite God into fear and have him break fear or reorient fear or clarify it, wow, the freedom in the church would go off the charts. But there's more. See, this is a church conversation, not just a John Thompson personal conversation or fill in your name. When fear loses power across a church, that is when hundreds or thousands of individuals in our church list their fears and invite the Spirit of God systematically into them, then the Spirit of God stops being grieved. And when the Holy Spirit is not grieved communally across so many of us, like I preached, my personal quiet life affects this whole church every single week. And so watch this. When fear is exposed, the Spirit of God is invited into fear, into our fears, and the Holy Spirit is less grieved. Suddenly the Spirit of God has more room to move, more room to inspire, more room to heal, more room to empower, more room to be heard, more room for actually Him to speak. And that becomes the grease, everyone ready? In the hinge to open the door.